Khadija, she will speak about action research, theory and the practice. Anwar Musa, I will speak about action research, cultural diversity, and Mr. Walid Mandur, he will talk about the specialist in how ED tech support. And we are coming in this order. Khadija, the floor is yours. Feel free.
Thank you very much, Prof. Anwar, and thanks, Walid, for the tech support you provided to me with this workshop. As Prof. Anwar said, I'm going to talk about action research in terms of theory and practice. And the good thing is that I have in today's session some trainers. So from our experience, I am not going to present it, action research, from the perspective only of theories and literature, but hopefully through this workshop, I will take you practically on how you can start your own action research project, inshallah. So what we are expecting, the outcomes by the end of this session, you will be better able to define action research, identify the action research process, and develop your own action research plan in terms of the general plan and the intervention plan. Okay, so this is what we are expecting. We will start by, we could say, warm-up activity, icebreaker. So here you have a question, mixed up words. Your task is to reconstruct the question.
Dr. Khadija, can you open the camera? Do you mind opening the camera? Do you mind?
No, it's fine, but because I'm presenting.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes.
Go on.
So we are starting with a warm-up and icebreaker. These are the words, mixed up words. Participants, could you kindly reconstruct this question for me? It's a puzzle I want you to solve. So write in the chat, and I will be following up in the chat. I want to see who get it correctly. I can't see any answers still now. Walid, can you?
The most expensive item.
Well, I'm following that. Have you ever bought the most expensive item? That is an answer from Muhammad Masoudi.
What about what?
Have you ever bought? Okay, and then we have
What is
Amira. What is the most expensive item you have ever bought?
Good, very good try, Amira. Well done. So,
Nice.
so yes, I started with this activity just like a refresher for you. What is the most expensive? Also, Fatma, well done. I just started this activity as a refresher, but I also have my own hidden agenda behind it. If you look at those mixed up words and you look at the puzzle, you might need to relate this to the topic we are doing today. The topic we are doing is about research. And research is usually a piece of puzzle that we try to resolve. In particular, I think this kind of warm-up or mixed up question is related to action research because you have lots of words mixed up. So this might be your data, your qualitative data that you collect from research, and your role as a researcher is trying to solve the puzzle by taking these words, putting it in the appropriate places. I would say that the first try by, what was his name? Sorry, let me go back. Muhammad. By Muhammad was not a wrong try because this is how we deal with research. When we have different pieces of data, we try to work it out using different strategies. So Muhammad maybe started with have you ever, and maybe later he could find the word what. Oh yes, I need maybe to use the word what. So this is how we deal with the data and research. And this was my actually hidden agenda behind using this warm-up. I hope you are refreshed now to start getting the kind of theoretical part of action research. We will start with definitions. I will show you here only 3 definitions. But while you are looking at the definitions that I will present one by one, please see what key concepts are repeated, what key term, what specific words are actually repeated in the 3 definitions. So this is number 1, a disciplined process of inquiry conducted by and for those taking the action. Primary reason for engaging in action research is to assist the actor in improving or refining his actions or her actions. Okay? And again, here we have action research empowers, underline the word empowers practitioners to investigate and improve their practice. So again, there is one word repeated up and here, or more than one word. Okay, this is by Hendricks. This is one of the biggest names also who wrote about action research. Action research is about improving learning. McNiff, one of the biggest names in action research. Action research is about improving learning. So what key concepts are repeated here? Can I see in the chat box what key terms related to action research? Can I see some examples? If you can write. Improving, well done. Anwar, improve. So improve is a keyword. Learning, good. Refine, What else? What about teaching? Investigate, could be, okay. Okay, so if you look at the word actor and the word practitioner, so the practitioner is actually the actor of action research. Solve a problem, well done Yahya. But the 2 or the key concepts related to action research are presented in the following slide. There are 2 key areas of action research. It's done by practitioners, who are called sometimes in the previous slide actors or practitioners. Teachers are mainly the ones who we are thinking about from those practitioners. They improve learning. Action research improves learning and improves practice. And this is a key thing. Action research is about action. I do an action. And if I do an action, I'm looking for a change, for an improvement. So change and improve are 2 synonyms also here. And if I am doing those kinds of action to improve learning and my own practice as a teacher, if I improve my own practice as a teacher, then students' learning will be improved. How similar, and by the way, I just took the previous 3 examples, but if you go throughout the literature where action research is defined, these are the key repeated words that you will find in all and every single definition of action research. Improve is a keyword that it's always there. Act or action, practice, learning, practitioner. Okay, so this is specific about action research. And if you will search hundreds and hundreds of definitions, you will find more and more about action research. But in a way or another, they are around such an umbrella. It is for practitioners, done by practitioners, to improve their own practice, which can contribute to improve teaching and learning at schools, if we are thinking from the perspective of teachers, of course. How similar is action research to other types of research, and how different it is? In terms of action research, it is like a systematic inquiry, as you have found in the previous slide. So there is a research process. There are research questions, there are data collection tools, there are data analysis. You have data, you have findings, you work with findings. But there is something very special about action research, very unique, which you cannot find in other types of research, which is intervention, action. If you don't have an intervention, if you are not doing actions to change the practice, then there is no action research. So action research is action. You have to do an action to change something. Through such a change, improvement comes. Improvement in your own practice as a practitioner, as a teacher, improvement in your students' learning. In terms of the action research journey, actually, it is a very spiral process. You can start with, for example, reflecting on your practice as a teacher. So reflecting on my practice throughout this month, I noticed that my students are having difficulties in reading, actually. So you start reflecting what kinds of challenges you see your students are facing. And through such reflection, you start planning your action research journey. You start planning your action. You start planning your intervention. Maybe by trying out some new techniques to improve students in their writing skill. And then once you finish your plan, you start acting out such a plan. And from acting out such a plan, or throughout the action process itself, you observe, are there any changes happening? If yes, what exactly? If no, reflect again, replan. So it's a spiral process. When it stops, when the researcher feels satisfied, oh, I am happy now after applying 3 or 4 strategies, going through this process 3 times, 4 times, now I'm very satisfied. My students improved a lot in reading. So there's where you decide to stop. But it's only you as a researcher or a team of researchers who decide to stop. And when you decide to stop based on your satisfaction from the results of action research. This is from Kemis and McTaggart. That's one of the models, actually, of action research. And there is this model also from Lewin. And if you look at Lewin's model, Lewin thinks that you start by identifying a general or initial idea for action research. It could be, it mainly based to a challenge you are facing or a problem, but it could be related to something that really interests you as a researcher and you want to know more about and you want to make a real contribution or change into it. And then you start fact-finding. This fact-finding starts with planning. So again, you have here on your right-hand side of the slide, the same spiral process that we have in the previous one. So this planning is the plan here. And the first 2 stages are part of the reflect here. Okay, reflect and observe. And once you start planning and you finish your plan, you start your first action step. You start this action step and then you evaluate it. And evaluate it here is very similar to the observe and reflect here. So you observe, you look at your action, you reflect on it and evaluate it, okay? Once you evaluate it, you think, oh, yes, the strategy I tried to help my students with their reading didn't work that much. I couldn't see a real improvement in my students' reading. So what? Go to the next plan, amend your plan and start taking another action, applying a new strategy, a new technique to make a change into students' writing. And the process goes on and on and on, very similar to the previous spiral process, until you feel satisfied. Okay, so this is Lewin's model. Another model found in the literature is Bachman's model. I don't know if you can read this picture. I hope so. But it starts upstairs from the word plan. So according to Bachman, you start by reflect and plan. Reflect on your practice. Plan your action research. You act and observe together. And the action and the observation, according to Bachman's, goes parallel. So you act the technique, the action, the intervention, and you observe it. See, is it really working? Why working? Why not working? To which degree is it working? And then you reflect on it, and you reflect and see, are you satisfied, not satisfied, accordingly you revisit your plan. In the second circle here, you revisit your plan again. This is related to Lewin's previous idea, amended plan. And here Bachman called it revised plan. So you revise your plan, you make another change, add out a new technique maybe that you want to try out. Again, act and observe, parallel, act the new technique, observe it, see how it works, reflect on it, write your reflection, and start maybe a third round of your action research. So it's again back to the first one. It's a spiral process. And the three authors so far are talking about the same idea, in a way or another using different terminologies, but all agreed together that it is a spiral process. It is the researcher, according to the literature, it's the researcher who decides when to stop. And it's related to the researcher's either satisfaction, or maybe sometimes the researcher feels, oh, I feel I cannot anymore. So it's you who decides when to stop, okay? So this is a summary, and there are many other actually in the literature, many and many you will find. I found one published soon by Yigiti in 2021, and it's again talking about the same process, but in a more detailed way. But in a way or another, this is how I will summarize it. The action research process or methodology starts with the researcher identifying a problem or an issue that he or she wants to investigate, then starts devising his plan. By the way, identifying this problem comes from his or her reflection on his practice or her practice as a teacher or as a practitioner, teacher, educator, whomever, okay? Then devise a plan, the action research plan, the intervention plan, and then act out this plan to implement it, to make the change to the current normal ways students used to, and you act and observe your action. Part of your observation, you are collecting data, collecting and analyzing data. So you try out something, you observe it, and you start collecting data about it. And once you have all your piles of data, you start analyzing your data, you reflect on your data. If you are unhappy, you go here to redevise your plan again, react and implement a new strategy, re-observe and collect more data and analyze, reflect again. Happy? No. Redevise another plan, react, re-observe and collect and analyze data, reflect on it. Happy now? Yes, happy. So then you start sharing and disseminating your findings. And I think from such a process, you can see the similarities with this kind of research with other kinds of research. So there is the identification of the problem, which is in all types of research. There is also the plan related to stating your research questions, your data collection tools, designing the tools, administering the tools, collecting data, analyzing data. This is similar. When you finish, you share your findings by writing up your research, publishing it. So publishing is sharing, or doing a presentation to share your findings. This is similar in all kinds of research. But the very specific ones in action research is the action part. You have to intervene. You do an intervention to change the current situation, to improve it. Back to the definitions that I just said, you intervene to improve, to change the current situation, which you are unhappy about. Okay, so this is the action research criteria. Ownership, it belongs to teachers. It doesn't belong to researchers. Other types of research is usually done by any other researcher, but action research is done by practitioners, in our case, especially teachers. And it's controlled by teachers. Teachers do it, and it's meaningful to teachers because it leads to changing their teaching practice. It leads to solving the problems they are facing daily. It leads to improving their students' learning. It has very clear and specific focus on the improvement of teachers' classroom practice. Okay? So you have a clear focus. Today, or this action research, I will focus only on my students' reading. Specifically on reading, I will focus on my grade 11 students, maybe reading for specific information, because that's the area where I found my students have difficulties with the types of questions that my students are really losing marks on it. So you try to be very focused with the area you want to improve, and this improvement will lead to improve your own practice, the ways you are using to teach your students, and to your students' learning, of course. And it is a way of structured reflection. And back to our previous examples that we looked at, reflection is a key in action research. And action researchers keep reflecting. They start reflecting before choosing the problem. They keep reflecting after applying the actions. They keep reflecting till they feel satisfied. So it is a very structured way of reflection. Okay. So this is the action research methodology. You start by choosing an issue that you would love to investigate. Usually it's a challenge you are facing, a problem you have as a teacher, or something that really interests you and you want to make a real contribution, a real change to it in your teaching or your students' learning. And then you start developing your own research plan, or what is called research proposal. That's the general one. And from the general research proposal, number 1 and 2, again, similar to other types of research. But what is really unique for action research, that you develop your intervention plan. You start having your action plan or intervention plan. Some researchers call it action plan and many others call it intervention plan, because as a researcher, you intervene to make changes. And this is the very specific, the very uniqueness of action research methodology compared to other types of research methodologies. Okay, we will go practically through those, don't worry. Now, the action research plan, imagine you are on a treasure hunt. And the treasure hunt, usually, if you plan it properly, you will find the treasure in the easiest, not the easiest, maybe in best way, better way, good way. If you don't plan it properly, imagine here and look, if you look at the picture, look at the steps. If you see how this hunter trying to do his treasure hunt, he planned his steps very well, and he know where he is going, so he can reach the treasure. But if you don't plan your treasure journey properly, you will be lost in the middle. You might not reach the treasure. And combining this to action research or relating it to action research, I love doing action research, by the way. And even my PhD thesis was a critical action research, actually. So, and I used to do many action research courses for English teachers in the Sultanate, and some of my colleagues are here, and I used to plan an action research course for English teachers in Oman, which is more practice-based. And now you will see some examples from this course, actually. The very good thing about action research is that the better you plan it, the more you enjoy it. You love doing it. And this is not from the perspective of literature. This is from my own perspective of a person investigated using action research, did a number of action research. Even my PhD thesis, as I said, was action research based. I am currently doing an action research on teacher preparation programs, and it's an action research, actually. So you will always enjoy it. Okay, so the better you plan your treasure hunt, the easier you will find your treasure. And it's the same in action research. So can you see now the proposal, the plan document? Walid, can you see?
On the top of the screen, there is switch to that to the tab. Just change the tab view.
Share
Can you
this
see a
tab?
button that, yes, share that tab instead?
Which tab? Okay.
Yeah, the tab.
No, it's not. I don't know where I kept it. Let me see. Okay, so, okay, خلاص. Can you see it now? I think you can see it. Can you?
Yes,
Doctor. Yes, doctor. We can see. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the practical part of the session today. I am taking you to how can you plan your action research step by step by step. And actually, we are using a lot this in our in-service courses here in Oman. We used to use it for a long time, and this kind of planning your action research really worked effective with the teachers we used to work with. And hopefully you will benefit from it. So you start selecting your topic, and I started selecting this topic from the last group I used to teach. Currently, I stopped teaching students, but this is the topic. This topic is based on a research I did with my students. The topic title is Giving Feedback to Students' Written Work in English, Developing My Practice as a Newly Qualified Lecturer and Improving My Students' Writing Skill. So I noticed that there was a problem with my students' writing. I noticed that I am giving my students feedback, giving them their pieces of writing back, but no real change and improvement was happening in my students' writing. So I decided, come on, stop Khadija, let's see where is the problem exactly. So I decided to do it via action research. And I started thinking, actually, it might not be the problem of my students. It might be my own problem, because it's all the students who I was giving feedback to were not actually benefiting, or real change was happening to their writing, except the outstanding students. But for the actual students in need of me, they were not developing. So I decided to investigate this topic, and this is what the topic was. And then I made the topic more specific by focusing on the feedback I'm giving. So I want to develop my own practice. So let's investigate first the type of feedback I am giving. Is it really helping me to improve my practice and helping my students, who are my target, my ultimate target, to improve their learning in writing? And this was my research question. So simply, the more specific you are with your topic, the easier you can change it into a research question. So I changed that one into a main research question. Look here. How can I develop my ability? So I am developing my own practice. Bear in mind the definitions of action research. So you develop your own practice as a practitioner. So how can I develop my ability?
Dr. Khadija, can you just maximize the screen? If you select the percentage, the zooming percentage to 200 instead of 100, that would be much
where is the zoom?
On the top. Just down to the insert. Yes, there is a percentage like 150. Just make it 200. Okay, so for better visibility, or 150.
Okay. I think.
Okay, so I guess that will be that is much better for.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, but maybe I will make it 150 because in the coming. Okay, this is better, yeah. Because in the coming part,
this is better. This is better. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, thanks, Walid. So I could easily change my topics because I was very specific with it. It started very big with my students' writing skill. Come on, your students' writing skill is a very big one. And I started making it smaller and smaller. This is all this cycle, if you refer back to it. It's all the cycle of reflection and deciding and what exactly I am investigating. So I decided to choose the feedback I am giving, and is it really helping students to improve their writing? And the more specific I was with my topic, I could easier change it to a main research question. How can I develop my ability? Again, back to the definitions. Action research is about improving practice. So how can I improve my own practice? How can I develop my ability to give effective written feedback to improve my GFP students' writing in English, okay? And again, I took this main research question and changed it to specific research questions. And actually in action research, there are 3 important things in this sub-research questions that you need to think about. What is the problem that I am investigating? Why I'm investigating this problem? And why this problem is happening, why this problem is happening, and then what the solution can be. So what is the problem, why the problem happens, and what the solutions are. So look at the specific research questions which I break down from my main research question you saw above. How effective are the ways I use to give written feedback to my GFP students' written work in English? So this is where I start reflecting on my practice and collecting data. Where are the problems exactly in my students understanding my feedback and improving really in their improving their pieces of writing? And the second one, which is the reasons behind the problem. Why do some of my students not improve in their writing? Although I am giving them sometimes many writing tasks and giving many feedback, but why they are not improving? So if I investigate what the problem is and the reasons for the problem, this means that I am diagnosing the problem properly before I start my intervention, my action plan, actually. And from those 2 important questions, I go to how can I improve my ways of giving written feedback to help my students improve in their writing? So what solution? What is the solution? What is the strategies that I can use to improve the ways that I give feedback, which can help my students to improve in their writing? So I am focusing on 2 things. I'm focusing on the feedback I'm giving and how this feedback can really contribute to improve my students' writing. So what strategies I can use? What is the solution to the problem? And some researchers in action research also focus on seeing the effectiveness of the intervention, of the solution. Which strategy was more effective in helping my students improve in their writing? So this means I am investigating how effective was my solution. And if I found my solution effective, then I will stop there and I will see that's it. I'm very happy. If it's not effective, I will redo another one and so on. So these are the sub-research questions. And then you start thinking of your data collection methods. Mainly in action research, we use lots of qualitative data, actually, because you are looking at teaching practices. You are looking at actions. You are doing lots of observations as part of the action research. So more qualitative data. This is not to say that there is no quantitative data that you can collect, but mainly it is qualitative data. What type of quantitative data you can collect? What type of numbers? Maybe during your observation, you could notice how many students' writing improved after I changed my strategy. So again, it's
there is like, yeah, can you just make it 170% instead of 150? That would be much better, because some Muhammad al-Masoudi has some difficulty of reading. Okay, that's much better. Is it okay for everyone? Muhammad Masoudi. Okay, and you can remove the margin. There is like an arrow that shows at the bottom side, at the bottom of the screen. Just click it, so it will become wider. Yes, exactly. Click it. Just click. No. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good.
Okay, so you are mainly using qualitative data, and as I said, you can use as part of observation schedules quantitative data like how many students writing improved after I use this strategy or so on. But mainly in actual research, we are using qualitative data because we are focusing on reflections, we are focusing on observation, we are focusing on actions. So one of the key tools that is used a lot, and you will find it in the majority of literature, if not all of it, that talked about action research is journals. Action researchers usually keep reflective journals or diaries to record their observations, their reflections, their thoughts, their decisions. There are also in this research, I will also use observation field notes. And usually in action research, especially for teachers, you use observation because you act out something with your students and you observe how it works. So you use observation field notes to record the practice, the actions. And in my case, I will interview some of my students to explore their reaction to the new strategies that I used in giving feedback. So these are the three methods that I will use to investigate the previous questions: journal, observation, field notes, and interviewing my students. My proposed participants are, or the sample, is my GFP summer class, 12 male and 20 female students, totally 33 students. So I write this in details. This is the general plan, by the way. And then I write my proposed data collection schedule. And if you look at my detailed data collection schedule, I start by my observation and field notes to establish evidence of my current practice, to see what is the problem with the feedback I give and why this problem is happening. And I plan this in a very good way, that showing when exactly I will do that. So as you can see, 2 classroom observations in July to investigate the problem. And by the way, this will help me answer sub-research question 1 and sub-research question 2. Look here. That one will help me answer how effective are the ways I use to give written feedback and why my students are not improving in writing, although I'm giving them feedback. So I will do this observation, and then I do a series of lesson planning, observation, and note-taking to develop the ways I give written feedback to my students. And I will do this during July and August, a total of 4 observations. So this is my intervention plan. So I will do my intervention plan through planning my lessons, adding the strategies that I will use as interventions to improve my student in their writing, do my observation and note-taking, acting, observing, and note-taking. A total of 4 observations, at least I will record. I will do many observations, but at least I will record 4 of these to collect data for question 3, which is, how can I improve? So the how means I do my literature review. I find the techniques that I will apply to help my students improve. I plan my lessons. I add the new techniques in my lesson plans. I act, teach those new techniques, observe myself, reflect, take notes of how well they are working, not working. So this is for research question 3. And then I will do a focus group interview with 6 of my students. 6 students from the 33, I will do focus group with 6 only, from different levels. 2 outstanding, 2 average, 2 maybe low achievers, to explore their attitudes towards the changes I made, because they are usually used to different ways of giving feedback from me. And now I change it through my intervention, through my action research intervention. So I will do the focus group to see how they find the new techniques, explore their attitudes about the change I made, and this will contribute to give me answer to question 4, which is, what is it? Which strategy was more effective in helping my students? So they are the ones who will tell me through the focus group, okay? So I did a very good general plan. It's like a proposal for a PhD student. And As an action researcher, you need to start with this general plan. It's very important. So you know what is your topic, you know what is your main research question, you know what are your specific research questions, what are your data collection methods, participants, data collection schedule, okay? And this will be your task by the end of this workshop. If you would like to do it, it's up to you. Okay, I think I have to go back to the presentation. Where is it? Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So this is your task. If you'd like to, it's up to you, Yani. If you want to do it, if not, just forget about it. If you have done a similar task before, just forget about it. So you need to choose an issue that you want to investigate and do an action research about. Write your action research main plan, main proposal using the given template. But again, to find the treasure in action research, as I said before, it's not only the general things that researchers do. There is a very specific and unique thing about action research, which is the intervention. And we haven't planned our intervention yet. So after we do that general plan, we start thinking of our specific action research intervention plan. This is an action research plan here. I will show it to you. And by the way, I developed this action research detailed plan. Again, we are using this in our training. English trainers are very much in Oman aware about this, because we are using it to train teachers how can they do their intervention plan. Let me make it a bit bigger and maybe bigger. Okay. Share this tab. Can you see now the intervention plan?
Perfect.
Hello?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is the intervention plan that I planned. Action research intervention plan is the plan followed by the researcher to try to investigate her or his research topic, problem. The researcher can apply a number of strategies as part of this intervention to try to solve the problem. And this is the very unique part of action research, which no other types of research has. So this is how we plan our intervention for when we train our teachers here in Oman. I started this plan with my own. This is my own plan actually. So I started this plan by observing the problem. So I observed the problem, which is to help me answer first and second question. What is the problem with my feedback and why my students have such a problem? And doing the literature review about it. I will spend 2 weeks in July from 1 to 15 doing this, observing and doing the literature review, only observing the problem to just decide on the topic. I spent 2 weeks observing and deciding, and therefore I decided that the problem was with my written feedback, not with my students' writing. Because my feedback was a disaster, my student writing didn't improve. And that was a reality that I discovered only when I started observing the problem. So I did an observation for 2 weeks. Each week I was observing 4 or 5 lessons, lectures per day. I was taking notes, but I decided that by the end of each week, I will write my reflection about the problem. So in details, I wrote here action plan, action research plan, date and duration for this plan, data collection tool, date and details to record data. So 8th of July, I will record the observations of the first week, and 14th of July, I will record the observations of the second week. Meanwhile, I used to do literature review to know what are the strategies that can help me improve my ways of giving feedback. So this is what I wrote in my plan: write my reflection, identifying issues related to understanding my written feedback. I was focusing on specific students. In each lesson, few students, I think. In some lessons, I focused only on 1 or 2, and in some students, up to 6 students per lesson. And I was also, while I was doing the literature review in my evening times, I was writing some strategies from the reviewed literature that can help me develop my ways of giving feedback to improve my students' writing. So this is my action plan, my intervention. The action plan are the strategies that the researcher used to solve the problem. So there was a problem with my students' writing, and actually the problem was not with the students' writing, was with the way I was giving feedback to my students. So my action research plan was designing, planning some strategies in details and adding these to my lecture plans to apply them and see if they make a change in my students' writing or not. This was strategy one. Look here. Describe at least one thing the student did well with reference to the success criteria. So we have a criteria for marking. I chose from the criteria one band, let's say punctuation this time. And I chose one thing that the student did well in his writing. And I started giving the feedback by describing the one very good thing that the student did and what can make this piece of writing better as regards the same criteria, which is punctuation. And in this case, I was giving only a general comment. I applied this strategy for a week between 18 to 22nd July. I did observation and note-taking as part of the action of observation. So I give feedback to students. I observe students by asking them to make change, give me seeing the change, and so on. And by the end of the week, same like the previous step, I wrote my reflective journal, focusing on how this strategy was working. Students' action towards the given feedback. How focused was my feedback? And while I was writing those reflective journals, I was providing very specific examples of changes students writing. So for example, Ahmed today, I noticed that he focused a lot on his punctuation. He has for example, no capitalized mistakes. He has no blah, blah, blah mistakes. So this is how I used to write my reflective journals. Having done this, I was still sure that my students, this will not going to help my students improve in their writing, in their writing skill, but it was a good step towards understanding my feedback and changing in terms of one criteria, which is punctuation. You can focus, by the way, on more than one criteria, depends on your class level. You can focus on the criteria that your students has more problems with. Like in my case, I started with punctuation and then I moved to content because my students used to really have a problem with coherence. So coherence was another criteria that I used to focus on. So it's you who decide. You can, this strategy one, you can use it for 4 weeks instead of one. Up to you. And in each week, you can choose only one criteria and focus on it. Okay? Having done the first strategy, I move to the second strategy. Suggest the students immediate next steps. So already I took their first piece of work. And I see, according to my general comment from the previous strategy, there was some change or no change. But this time, I selected one or two, whatever doable, specifically and asked the student to focus on it in the second draft, on their writing piece. So this time, I want you to focus on this and this. Take your piece of writing back, make change in this and this. And again, for a whole week, I was collecting, giving. This one is called the second draft, okay? And by the end of that week, I wrote my reflective journal, focusing on how the strategy was working, students' action towards the given feedback. I was being very focused with the details of the data I was collecting by providing example of changes students' writing. So for example, Ahmed last time was better in his capitalization this time. Ahmed really worked on the two things I gave him, which is this and this. He made a good improvement in this, but this one, he still needs more time on it or whatever. So this way. And I move to the third strategy then, collect students' second draft, see how they responded to the feedback. This is continuous to the previous one, okay? This is the third draft, actually, not the second, sorry. This time, I gave feedback again, but providing examples of some sentences to explain the feedback. So, for example, I mean, when you write a sentence that is continued and have another part, you need to use a semicolon. For example, Muhammad did this and this, semicolon, he blah, 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 blah. So I was providing examples for the students this time. So when he or she look back at his or her writing, he will focus on how to change the writing based on the example I give. This, by the way, not only applies to punctuation, this applied the same for coherence, for everything. The same strategy. And again, a whole week, write my reflective journal, focus how the strategy was working, seeing example, change the students' writing. So these are the 4 strategies I used. As I said, in action research, you, the researcher, decide. You can use 1 strategy, you can use 2, you can use 3, you can use 10, you can use 20. It's you who decide when to stop. But the more this intervention plan is detailed, the better. Because it will direct you to reach your treasure. Okay? And then once I finished applying the strategies, not only about punctuation, I focused on punctuation, coherence, blah, 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 more than one thing. Okay? More data on action plan. And here I put in my intervention the focus group interviews with the 6 students. 4 interviews they were in total, 1 after applying each strategy. So I interviewed 6 students in a focus group, 2 outstanding, 2 average, 2 low achievers, but the 6 of them together in 1 focus group. So I did 4 focus groups. After applying the first intervention, the first strategy, I did a focus group with them. After applying the second one. After applying the third one. And after applying the 4th, the last one. And here again, I planned the date exactly when I'm going to do it. And this is how I did it. Interview 1 was done on 22nd July, 2nd, 29th, 3rd, 5th August, and 4th, 12th August. And then I transcribed the interviews. And I put some time in my intervention plan to analyze data.
Just 5 minutes left, by the way.
Okay, I am nearly done.
Just 5 minutes.
So this is for data analysis from 12th to 31st August. And then writing my research report from 1st September to 23rd September. And the proofreading and submitting for publication. By the way, I sent for publication and just last month. And I'm expecting it to be published soon, inshallah. And this is just like a sample. If you would like to, if you are interested in trying out your own action research, you can use the previous general plan, and you can use this detailed intervention plan to plan your own action research intervention. Okay. And back to the, okay. Can you see the PowerPoint? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah.
Good. So your task 2, if you would like to do it, look back at your action research plan proposal. So as I show you in the previous slide, you are expected, if you want to start your general plan. And if you finish your general plan, then you start doing your action research intervention plan in the very similar way that I showed you, which showed details of your intervention, details of the different actions that you will do to make change and improvement to your practice and to your students' learning. This is the end of my part. Please draw this pyramid with you. And I want you, before you leave the session today, this will be your exit slips actually, to write 1 question you still have about today's, about action research, 2 things you would like to know more about, and 3 things you have learned from today. Okay? So that's all from my part. I think, do you want to talk, Walid, or shall I move this?
Yeah, Thank you, Dr. Khadija, so much for your wonderful presentation. Really, it was very exciting to have all of this PhD thesis from A to Z.
Sorry,
So,
Dr. Can we move on to the following slide as well?
Yes.
Yes.
It's your turn, Bolly, yeah?
Yeah, okay. This is
okay, thank you
file,
very much.
Yeah, the file that includes the action plan proposal. Both tasks can be downloaded through the link, which is already placed in the chat box. All right. So can you see that in the chat box? If you click the link that I place it there, you can easily download the file, and then at the end we will show you how to submit it, inshallah.
Sorry, Dr. Walid, I think it's better to, as we did in session number 1 for Google Classroom, to give the chance for everybody to do the tasks, because we said it's mandatory to get the certificate. So
exactly.
we want it as a practical session, not just theoretical, and we talk. No,
it's already there. It's already there, and at the end of the document, you can see a link that will open a Google form where you can easily go and submit. And this is the plan. And of course, Dr. Khadija will have the opportunity to go through all your submissions, give feedback, and you are lucky to have her today. We are lucky to have her, and of course, Professor Anwar Muhammad, and I'm sure that he has lots more to give. Okay.
Thank you so much. Just can you give me the permission to present myself?
Yes, please go.
So shall I use the slides, or you will present, Doctor?
He can stop presenting because I will use the entire screen, right?
Shall I stop presenting?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
So thank you so much, everybody, and welcome for those who came. Let's ignore, and here, I have a lot of things here. So anyway, I have one slide only, which talk about, we will go for the slides, which we'll talk about. Yes, you can see now here, what I'm presenting. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, action research, challenges and opportunities. Can you, right?
Yes.
So I will talk about 4 points.
Click on present.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I will talk about just these 4 points. Where are we for action research? And where are the others? And I speak about the other contexts, how to compete, and can we add something to the field. So this is what I wanted to talk about. First, I'd like to say, where are we? The most important point that the purpose of action research, according to my point of view, it is to guide the teachers to take a planned and systematic self-reflection approach to solve some certain problem. So this is the most important point. So action research, it means, of course, Dr. Khadija said, improve and blah, 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 and so on. But just I just add, guide teachers to take a planned and systematic and self-reflection approach to solve some of the problems in the real teaching approach. But where are we? If we have a look to where are we, that all of the Arab learners, Arab teachers of English, we concentrate on the basic skills. And when I mean basic skills, what I want to say, listening, reading, writing, and so on. But what I did, the thing that I did here, I think, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen now? Hello?
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor. Yeah.
Applying this one, of course, you know that I was in China 2 years back before COVID-19, but we were practicing online teaching, by the way, before COVID-19, because we have overcrowded classes. So this is applying action research by following Philip the Classroom model in the context of teaching English linguistics. So here I moved to what we think out of the box. How can we teach English linguistics through action research and the following Philip the Classroom? But the most important point is the tools. The tools is what we used. We used the WeChat and we used the QQ, the most well-known two applications in China. And then we did all of this research So for me, we divided the actual research into three phases: pre the class, and in the class, and post the class. So when I wanted to perform actual research in a perfect way, and I wanted to get some results or concrete results or findings, because I wanted to try something. And when we talk about linguistics, it was the most difficult branch for a Chinese learners of English, because I was in foreign language college. But we work with IT. We work with IT college, the College of Information Technology. This is the cooperation with the team, how they can support us. So you can. I don't want to explain, but this is one of the papers that I did. Anyway, if you wanted to go for what I did is actual research. I did it in, if you type my name, just Anwar Morsi, you can find that all of these I did it, all of these researches, I did it a practical ones for teachers, and all of them, by the way, free of charge. You will not pay anything at all. So what I wanted to say, where are the others? When I say where are the others, because when I did this here, when I applied actual research, this is I did it, but here I wanted to show something. Yes, where are the others? The last, can you see the screen now? I think, right?
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Yes. So 2019, before I come from China, one of the teachers in Guangzhou, Southern Medical University. It is medical university, but they teach English. See the title, effect of the blended learning approach on teaching corpus, useful
Professor
education.
Anwar, can you share the
Yes.
link? Can you share the URL that shows on the
No,
top, the
that
address
I
bar?
will. Where is
Copy and
this one?
paste it
Right?
in the chat box. Yes.
This one, right? Okay,
So
don't worry.
everyone will have the ability to go and
For the resources, Dr. Walid, I forgot to tell you that I will send some resources for. This is the link, by the way. So it is. I think I will send you the resources, which we can send for all the participants to go through and read these new articles. So what I did here, where this one, yes, applying the paper used, no, this one, no, not this one. Also, I come here. Here, what I did in order to, yes, here. When I speak about where are the others, can you see the screen now? Can you see the
yes.
screen now? So
Yeah,
all of these files, by the
files.
way, all of these files, I got it from the Google Scholar, from the most recent cutting edge researches from 2020, 2020 and 2021. Why? Because I wanted to see where are the other researchers. Because if we still thinking about improving reading, writing, listening, and speaking, so what about where are we? How can we compete? This is the third point. So, for example, when I speak about the blended learning, it is something, and when I took the another writing, another one, which is what here for higher education. This one here. Also, I will send you the link. Exploring the impact of artificial intelligence and robots on higher education through literature-based design fictions. If you go through this article, you can see that how those people, of course, those people from Sheffield, but they have a branch, by the way, in Seoul and in China as well, which we call it academic affiliation. But see what are they investigating? See what are they doing? So now they emerge the artificial intelligence and robots in teaching English. And there is another one for higher education. Where is the second language? Where is the second one here? Comparison. Yeah, this one. To see stimulating and sustaining interest in language course and experimental comparison of a chatbot. What does it mean, a chatbot? It is a computer program which can talk to the students and communicate with the students. They use artificial intelligence in order to improve and learn foreign languages. Because the main aim, by the way, behind going to China and working there, because if you are a linguist, the first question, how many languages do you talk? So if you say that you are a linguist, yes, what does it mean you are a linguist? So tell me how many languages do you talk? So what I wanted to say that the more you read, the more you know. We have to think out of the box. We have to see where are the others reach in their research. It is not a question that I do something related to simple scale or task. Nowadays, before I come, by the way, they use the QQ program for delivering master degree program. Imagine that you are receiving all your master by QQ program. It's like WhatsApp. Of course, for me in 2018, it was something new. That how those people, their degree of awareness comes to, we use QQ and this we chat for education. So it is not a question that you speak about any other things. So here I speak about the degree of awareness of the learners themselves. Really, I have been teaching for more than 3 decades, but really even in the UK and in Germany, I have never seen opinionated students like the Chinese. When I presented this paper, by the way, they selected me to present it in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, in one of the most, I am proud that I was the only Egyptian who represented China in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia. It was something that I feel proud of. Why? Because really, we integrated the technology with education in a practical way. But can we have the same here in our context? No, stop. You can guess, you can imagine what we can do. When I come to some other researchers, also they use foreign language acquisition via artificial intelligence, and they talk about this 2021 using what the chatbots and replica to practice writing. It's a program that you write and it corrects for you. And if you have something that it doesn't correct, it cannot correct it for you, you can correct it with your pair. But what we do for the action research, I and the dean, by the way, the person who published with me was the dean of the college, by the way. He told me Morsi, they call me Morsi there, because they cannot say Anwar, they cannot pronounce it. So he told me that we can divide the class into groups. But you can imagine how many students in the class. There were about 260 students, but only 45 of them or 50 are in the class, and all the others take the classes online. You can imagine how many students are there in the college. I can tell you hundreds, thousands of students, but those people know how to use the technology in a perfect and a practical way. And this is something we cannot ignore. A lot of people waste a lot of money for using technology and we have nothing. Until now, we use WhatsApp and this technology for something else, and you can understand what I mean. So the question is now how to compete. If I ask you the question, of course, I will not feel shy to tell you that if the researchers themselves or if the teachers stop imitating or just duplicated other studies or just to get support from here and there to do some research, we can compete. So we have to get something, we have to add something to the field. But if I duplicated somebody's research or somebody's articles, I think it is not ethical. Because I found, by the way, some of the teachers, one of my colleagues told me, Anwar, pass me all your articles in a Word copy. I said, what for? He said that I wanted to republish and research, but you don't speak Arabic. Because I did it for error analysis and I make analysis for the Arab learners of English, and you are not native of Arabic. They said, no, we can do it, no problem. But this is something make me depressed. But I said, it's okay, yeah, here you are, no problem. You can do whatever you want. So here I wanted to say, my advice for the researchers and for the teacher, the more you read, the more you know. And the more you can research specific areas to be added to the field. What should I do? What did you add to the field? If you don't add something, it means that your research is nothing. And I have my experience with Dr. Walid, by the way. He's doing something. I told him, you have to read, because the more you read, the more you find something to be discussed. Because otherwise, you can see something and you spend 1 year or 2 years and you can find somebody did all what you wanted to search for and you waste all your time. And this reminds me when I was in Bristol, a Tunisian teacher, a PhD candidate, after 2 years, he got somebody, did the same research with the same topics. However, however, our professor told him search, but he insists on doing something for IELTS, by the way. And of course, you cannot imagine how much he was depressed. So for action research, as we come back to the main topic, I want you to think out of the box. Don't put yourself in a certain zone. Just read, because the more you read, the more you know where are the other people reaches. Because sometimes when you read, you get something here and something there. And for me, it was very surprising that they connected between artificial intelligence with robotics in second language acquisition. I suffered a lot to improve second language acquisition, and I published my book with Prof. Adil Isa about the practical second language acquisition theories, and we change the theories and make bridge between theories into practice. And then I found some people now, 2021, they moved us, and they were very fast. Really, I feel so proud that I know it. I know what I'll be doing. So this is the advice for me, to know how to compete. Because if you cannot compete, I think you will. I don't know how can I put it, but and for me, I'd like you to add something. And I remember when I criticized Rod Ellis and Nick Ellis for explicit and implicit grammar language teaching, and I created something, and I call it explicit grammar language teaching approach. And I made them in Malaysia, by the way, because Rod Ellis is working in Indonesia. So he told me, "What are you doing, man?" I said, "Explicit. I can start with explicit. If the implicit, if the students don't understand, I can change into explicit, and I can mix in between, and I call it explicit grammar language teaching approach. What's wrong with this?" Of course, he told me, "You are right." And when we come for writing, you can find some people concentrate on process writing, or writing process, what we call. If you follow the history of writing, the history starts with product writing, the old-fashioned one, and then process writing, or writing process. And I designed my own method in Bristol, IWP, Innovated Writing Process. And it's a model, by the way, in Bristol. If you write it here, just here, if you go to here, see Innovated Writing Process. This is in Bristol, by the way. Can you see the screen? I think you can see the screen, right?
Yes, doctor. Yes,
Yeah,
doctor.
so here, just if you write my name, if you just type my name and write Innovated Writing Process, this is the new practical approach. And here I make a practical bridge between recent second language acquisition and writing. How can we? It's not a question that I do something. No, the most important point is how you transfer the theoretical part or theories into practice inside your class. So you are not, don't feel that you are a brilliant teacher that when you have some students get grade A. Yes, we know that we have grade A, but what about those who usually have grade E or D? So your empower here, your ability is to help those, which I call them less able students. Less able. Of course, I cannot say some teachers said bad students and good students. There is no bad and good students in academic side. We can say able students or able learners of English and less able learners of English. And there is no, you cannot say right or wrong. No, we can target-like form and non-target-like form. We cannot say correct sentence or wrong sentence. Of course not. This is not academic one, by the way. But if you come to the academic context, you should say target-like form and non-target-like form. Target-like means correct. So if you are academic one, so you have to understand this is what you should do for the terminology. When I am in the class, I told the students, please don't use taxi driver English. So all of them laugh. So all of them laugh because, for example, we know our context. So you say, teacher, me go bathroom, me, blah, blah. What's me? Who said me and who said? Where is the actual research here? I have to invent, as Dr. Khadija said, and put some phases. Phase 1 to do 1 point or 2 points. I repeat phase 2 to make number 3 and number 4. I repeat with phase number 3 to make number 5 and number 6. And since I did this, I have to publish. What does it mean publish? Without publishing, you are nothing. I'm sorry to say this. Of course, as I told you, it maybe you, please don't misunderstand me. But since you don't publish your findings, how can I know about you? How can I know about your findings? Since you didn't publish or don't show it. As I told you, and for me, if you just type and here, that for Google Scholar, for example, if you go for Google Scholar and you can see the acquisition of proposition I did it when I was this is my citation, by the way, 100 blah 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 44, and I don't care, but all of these are my articles, which are free for all of you. This is related to the Arab learners of English. Since we are in Arab learners of English context and we wanted to improve our action research, my advice for all of you to read and read and read. The more you read, the more you know. So I come to the last point. I'm sorry, Walid. I think I took more than 10 minutes. So I speak about it. The last one is number 4. It is, can we add something to the field? Yes, of course you can add something. But how can you add something to the field? If you don't publish your paper, and by the way, inshallah, Dr. CK, we will organize how to publish with our ELT journal for TESOL Oman, because the main purpose behind the setting up TESOL Oman and by Prof. Adil Isa, we wanted to add something to the field. It is not, believe me, it is not a question of money or we get something. No, of course not. We did it all on our own. We did it, and we did all our best. Dr. Khadija know what we do and what we have been doing. We designed a course for all the teachers of in Oman. We wanted to improve the context as much as we can, because you are the one who knows. I'm sorry, it's not a question of showing up, but you know that Ali is the first prof in ELT in Oman, and I have been prof since I was in China. So, and we publish enough. We don't want anything. We just wanted to improve how it can be. A student finish Bachelor of Arts in College of English Language Teaching, and he doesn't know how to teach. He got Bachelor of X college, and then he or she cannot write a complete correct paragraph. I don't speak about any context, by the way. I speak in general. Please never misunderstand me. Like the outcome of any institution, how you need training in order to be involved in the work labor. Why this training? It means there is a gap, or there are gaps which must be filled in. But through my experience in Oman, I'm so honest to say, most of the gaps were searched and investigated, and all of the studies are on shelves on Sultan Qaboos University main library. I remember in 2012 and in 2001, before I left for the UK, I stayed days and days in the library, and I got a lot. And now, from time to time, I go to see what the people investigated and what are their findings. So if I don't use these findings, means what is the useful of your research? What's the useful of your findings if I don't implement it? And here, I concentrate on decision makers. If the decision makers don't follow and read what his people reach or find out, so how can you improve your context? So this is the reality. I am sorry to say this. So yes, I'd like to finalize my speech or my comment. We want our session to be practical, by the way, because Dr. Khadija said, if you want to do it, no, you must do it. I'm sorry to say this. We should do the tasks. Why? Since you get a certificate, we don't want it to be like any other TESOL, by the way. We seek for making it a practical one. You get something. How to do action research. Dr. Khadija gave 2 tasks. Please, Dr. Walid will send you the link for Google Classroom. Dr. Khadija, and she might connect us or to supervise or to check, or Dr. Khadija, because she's the main presenter, to check the tasks. And since you do your task, we will issue your certificate directly. This certificate, I think it will add for you something. It's not a question just we wanted to make terrible or hard times for you, but believe me, we wanted to put your leg on the practical side. Why we are different, how we can be different. And it is my honor now to announce for the following workshop. Inshallah, it will be for CK and I think Khalid Gardani about how to publish. But we are waiting because they have marking, so we can another week. Now, I'd like to present my wonderful and lovely young man, Dr. Walid Mandur, the techno, the idiot techno, and the Google trainer, that he added a lot of things to us. The floor of yours, Walid. Of course, he's working in Sultan Qaboos University in Language Center, and I think you know about him. So the floor is yours, Walid. Enjoy.
Well, I have nothing to add much, by the way, only 5 minutes. Well, this is quite illuminating inputs from Dr. Khadija and you, Professor. And actually, what I'm going to add right now is not really an addition, but it's just a way of implementation. So now my question is how technology support action research. When we were learning from Dr. Khadija and also Dr. Anwar, we have noticed that we should go into different phases. So we usually go on two different methodologies when we analyze. We have the quantitative approach, the quantitative and the qualitative method. So what about the quantitative? This is the thing that we will have our technology that would support us doing. So when we are talking about technology, we have lots of interesting technology, and actually this is what we are going to learn through. So we usually know that we usually go on Google using Google Forms or any sort of surveys or even quizzes that we usually push to our students in order to get their own feedbacks or to go through their own performance, what they have learned, etc. The thing is that we can take their own answers and we can analyze it and go through all these quantitative data into more contextualized and analytical responses. And what I mean here by the word contextualize is now that Google and also Microsoft are both the two companies working in the field of education, and they are implementing, or let me say, they are deploying all their power into technology and into research. And of course, action research is already there. So what I mean here is that you can easily go and get contextualized answers, responses, that you can understand what the student's performance is. And of course, you will have the ability to observe well, and of course, have better reflection. And of course, your plan will become much clearer to you. So this is how it works. I'm going to give you an example right now, just a couple of minutes. So I guess you can see the screen at the moment. Unfortunately, okay, can you see my screen? Yes, yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, Walid. Yeah.
So let's imagine that this is some data that was collected through quiz or a survey that I passed to the students. Unfortunately, I can't disclose my students' data. So I just picked something which is actually a subscription, by the way. So these are all related to your own emails, country, etc. All you need to do is that just highlight all of them using Control-A, and then you can see that button that says Explore. Can you see it at the bottom of the screen? Did anyone use it before?
Excuse me, Walid, please can you stop my sharing? Because I think some teachers say that still, yeah, it is closed now. Okay.
Yeah, it is already there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
okay, so has anyone, you can guys reply to me, by the way, anyone has used that button before that shows at the bottom? Explore?
No.
Okay, so now you will know how it works. So At any time, if you are sending a Google form, you can analyze the quantitative data and look into them, explore them, and continue on your action plan simply by this. I'm sure that we as language teachers are usually get overwhelmed with lots of data and numbers and statistics. But actually, if we highlight that, we can actually inquire about any sort of data that you are looking into. For example, let's say that you would like to know whether the students have found some difficulties in answering question A or what. Just write a question like that. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to ask about what countries involved in this form. Okay, this is a question, right? So what happens is that the AI, the artificial intelligence, okay, drawn or made by Google, will try to understand your own query. And it will give you right now, did you mean that? And okay, so for example, if I ask on the top 5 countries participated in the survey, it will automatically create this formula that you have here, a short table, and it will show, okay, that you have people from Oman, Morocco, and Pakistan. There are 3 different countries, and of course, you can see here the more details. By clicking, you will find even more visual results. You can easily click, copy, and paste in your own research, and of course, you can continue on analyzing your data. If you don't like that, all right, you can easily, again, I'm going to highlight the entire data that I have. And what happens is that Explorer or that AI, which is already there inside the Google Sheet, will anticipate different ways to help you. So it will create something related to a pivot table like this here. Okay, now there is a question about the affiliation. Okay, basic education and higher education, etc. And of course, you will find lots of interesting analytical resources that you can deploy without the need of doing it by hand. So technology will do it for us. So this is how technology can help you as teacher, and you can only focus on looking, observing these quantitative data or pieces, and you can, of course, go and reflect accordingly. That's it. And please go try it out. If you have some quiz that you pass to your students, you can use that Explore button inside the Google Sheet, and you will find amazing results. And I'm sure, type your own question, by the way, and of course, the AI will try to understand, of course, using the NLP, that is the natural language processing, to analyze what you want. And in future, inshallah, you can expect a voice activation here. So you can simply ask your query to the computer, and it will tell you how many people who have difficulties and how many people which question, for example, were answered perfectly, or those people will find some difficulties. And of course, you will find the areas to improve. That's it. Please send me your
Walid, I have a question, Walid. I used to use this, but I used to have a problem with the 5-item Likert scale when I tried to reorganize the items, select specific findings. It really caused me problems. I don't know why.
So the thing is that the data that you want to look into a specific data inside the data itself.
Yes. I used to work on it before in SPSS, but because my SPSS was expired, I tried this. Maybe because it was a huge amount of data, I'm not sure. But it didn't work anyway, the 5-item Likert scale analysis.
Well, that should be paid.
Oh.
Just kidding. Anybody is interested to know the answer? Show me your interest in the chat box, maybe.
There is a question here.
Raise your hands.
There is a question here, Walid, from Miss Amira.
There is a question
From Miss Amira. What about? It's okay. What about qualitative methods like observation?
It's you.
How is technology? No. This is from Miss Amira.
Yeah, Amira. Okay, so see, you are the one who's doing the qualitative. It's human thing. It's human. So you are the one who should get into that. It will show, it will try to interpret. I mean, the AI will try to interpret the data as much as they can, but still, the action will be at your own step. That will be your own step that you should be taking. This is the thing that we that will give that. Let me give you that example, or show that through an example, by the way. So again, I'm highlighting all data using the Control A, okay, from my keyboard, and then I will go down there. Hold on, you are not, you can't see my screen.
No.
I stopped sharing. Okay, so let me share the screen again. So that will answer both questions. Okay, so Dr. Khadija and also Amira. So here's the thing. So I have now, I guess you can see the screen. So now I highlight all the data that I collected from a Google form. Okay, you go to the answer tab, and then you click on that Google Sheet, and it will automatically transform all the answers into that data. So you click on the Explorer, and you will see lots of interesting results here. Let's say that I'm interested into getting this, which is the count of affiliation. Can you see it? Professor, can you see that?
Yeah, it is clear, yeah.
Yeah, all you need to do is that you can see that there is insert chart that shows on the right side.
Yeah.
Can you see it? So you can easily click it. What happens is that this chart that has been done by the AI, Google AI, has been transferred to your own sheet. So all you need to do is now you can go through each of these items. So let me close this here, and I'm going to put it, just move it down, just a second. All right, now, okay. So let's say that I want to know that person who answered educational services. So if I click, okay, if I just click it, it will show up here the row. Okay, hold on. Okay, it will give you some of these answers, as you can see. Well, I have some difficulty, by the way, displaying that, but this is what happens. What you click on the chart will be displayed in the data itself, and then you will go through the data, and you can go and analyze more deeply. So actually, I should give a better example, by the way, because this is a very simple example, which I should have more quantitative.
Since you click on
okay, so anyway, just click it. Just click it.
Yeah.
And you can find, you know, the set of data, more details. However, there is another way. If I go to this, hold on. If I go to the form and then edit the form, now I'm sharing the screen. This is the form that I'm using, by the way, which is just the subscription form that I sent. But if we imagine that this form is a quiz or a survey that you sent, all what we do is that we go to the responses, okay? So we can see all the students' responses to the questions. And if we go down, you will find some interesting statistics. Yeah. Again, you can simply copy and paste. If you just hover on any of this, for example, your country, you can see that there is that icon that shows on the top right side.
I know this, Walid, I know this, all of this I know.
But you want to look.
And I also know when you go up, if you scroll up, can you scroll up a little bit more?
Yeah, more. Here.
No,
here.
no, more. And you can see
question,
here
the individual.
The spreadsheet up.
Yes.
I can
This
even
is the one that I was using.
take it into the spreadsheet. I can take data from the spreadsheet. I can classify data from the spreadsheet. But I always have a problem when I have a huge amount of data. It really caused me problem in trying to classify them according to the responses. I don't know if it needs
Use
to
the
be
AI.
or something like that.
Write your question in the AI. So what I would do, what I would suggest, if I have let's say hundreds of answers. So what I would do is that I will highlight first, number one, there are 2 steps. Highlight the data that you have, okay? And by the way, you can select something exactly. For example, I want to highlight only this part, okay? And then I click on Explore. This is a smart way to go through or analyze the data that you have using the AI. So you can simply go down here and try to find what possible answer that they will afford or they will offer. Otherwise, you can ask your question. Just write your question. Let's say, what percentage of your country? Okay, so my country of Morocco, let's say I am from Morocco. Okay, so it's 36.3. Okay, this is some data. You can write anything. You don't have to look into the specific, let's say, figures, but you can write contextualized questions. Write questions. Okay, what, where, when, how, and the AI will try to find answers. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm sure I was about to pick something from real authentic data, by the way, but unfortunately I can't disclose my students without permission, by the way. I'm sorry for that. So I hope that the idea is clear now.
Yeah. So I think there is some time for questions.
Yes.
You can give the floor for questions. Anybody wants to ask any questions for any one of us? 3 of us, you are welcome to ask any questions. If you have any questions, because now feel free. We are ready to answer your questions.
Amira, what about qualitative method like observation? Okay, that we already mentioned that. Yeah. And then I mean the context of e-learning. Amira, I'm sure that this question, Dr. Khadija and Dr. Anwar would answer that. By the way, not only me. So, Dr. Amira, would you like to use the mic? We would love to hear from you.
Hello, yes, I was trying to turn it on so that I can explain more and elaborate more on the question so that we benefit all. As I was training teachers on action research this year, they faced this issue of doing a different, data collection tools. One of them is observation, and as you know, the context of this, 2020 and 2021 of COVID-19. And so observation was one of the tools that teachers used in order to see how, and, in order to investigate more on the issue they're researching on. And, when we do observation, then there are many things to see. It is not only I know that it is very clear, in a virtual situation, it's not easy to observe. Yeah, there are many things that you miss as a researcher. So my question is, how is technology and how is the context of e-learning supporting this kind of tool in terms of implementation of it?
Ms. Amira,
analysis.
Ms. Amira, thank you so much. But since you talk about qualitative methods, it is not quantitative. When you go to Google Form and when we go to the statistics,
yes,
it concentrates on quantitatives, not qualitative. Qualitative because
exactly.
you will get observations. So the observation, you will observe and write down the notes, or you write down the notes on the side, and then you have to analyze your data. So like the interview, when I make interview and in your research or in your study, there are no numbers because you ask some questions and get the answers from X teacher and Y teacher.
Can I answer, Amira, something I tried myself when I was in the UK? I was doing interviews with my teachers using the WhatsApp. And I have two types of interviews. I have one-to-one single interviews, semi-structured, and I have focus groups. In the one-to-one, we used to use the WhatsApp. And in the focus groups, we used to use the WeChat. And the very good thing about technology, Amira, is that, for example, in the case of interviews where I used, in the WhatsApp, there is a characteristics that when you send the question to your interviewee and he comes back to you, what happens is that you can save the chat directly. So direct transcription is there. I also use the technique in the WeChat, and in the WeChat also the very good thing is that you can use chunks of languages at the same time, and it can be transcribed to you via even voice for those who have like difficulties or whatever. I mean, what I want to say is that the technology in the terms of interviews made my life much easier. I did not have to travel from UK back to Oman to do those interviews with teachers. I do not have to do any types of transcriptions, although my interviews were 20 pages long, some of them, single interviews, because, you know, there were lots of questions, follow-up questions, blah, blah, blah. But the very good thing about technology, and you can use any of those. I used to use, what was the application, Walid, you called me?
Google Chat.
Google Chat.
Yes,
I
it's
used
like
to
WhatsApp.
use any new technology, you can use it. I know my colleagues who used to be in a similar situation. We used to use the technology a lot. In terms of observation, I think now the new Google Classrooms can help with that. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm seriously thinking about it, because
actually you can create a long list. There is no end for that. A long list of feedback forms. Like, for example, if you like to thank a student's performance, to give a positive feedback, you can type a long feedback, and that will be saved inside the Google Classroom. And if you feel like repeating or retyping that, you don't have to retype it yourself. Just copy and paste. That's it. Honestly speaking, you can give even voiced feedback. And of course, the AI will type it for you, or that recording can be easily sent to the student. So you don't have to give feedback to the student via typing. You can simply leave a voice note inside Google Classroom, for example. Yes.
If I don't misunderstand Miss Amira, her question was how to implement the technology for qualitative methods. She wants to see if we can apply the qualitative methods to get some statistics, that's like what we have done now with Walid, with the numbers. So my question is, Dr. Khadija, or my answer was, since you have interview, you cannot get the, yes, you can use WhatsApp, you can use WeChat and the QQ. As I told you, we use this. It's a question of technology, yes, but as a statistics, you cannot. For statistics for qualitative, there is no statistics for qualitative. Qualitative means that you read the answers or the interview and you analyze it by yourself. It cannot be analyzed by machine. Maybe you can analyze the mistakes, but you don't talk about mistakes with the teacher's training.
Exactly.
So here to make it
but
clear,
it can't help you.
sorry,
No, it doesn't help you with the. Look, Walid, what I wanted to say, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you with the analysis of the data. But
exactly.
It does help you with the clustering.
That's what I want to say.
It helps you with the clustering of the data. You can cluster the data based on the questions. So again, it makes your life easier in terms of organizing the data.
In terms of
technology helps you to organize the data, not to analyze it. So organizing the data in terms of classifying it, clustering it, even qualitative data based on the type of question. You can even use a word. For example, let's say I have asked them in the interview, I have asked them a question about satisfaction, okay? Or dislike. And you can use the word like, and the computer can classify for you all the data related to like and underline it to you and keep it in one column, something like that. So it helps
even
you a lot
words with the
actually.
same sense,
Huh?
like, love, appreciate,
Exactly.
admire.
So it helps
Yes.
you a lot, and I tried this myself.
Yes.
Dr.
There
Khadija?
are some technologies which again can help you, like the in vivo and those things which we tried. Also, Mendeley can help you, in vivo can help you. Those can help you again with organizing the data, not with the actual we could say
Analyzing.
categorizing of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
Exactly.
what
But
I said,
again,
Dr.
organizing
Khadija.
the data,
Exactly.
especially in the qualitative huge amount of data, will make your life much easier, because I tried it. I used to have 300 interviews, and I
Dr.
used to use the
Khadija,
computer to classify.
I hope that answered the question.
thank you so much, Dr. Khadija. But what
There
I
is
said
another
that,
question.
just wait, Walid, please.
Mhm.
Just to concentrate and ensure my answers is Miss Amira asked about getting the analysis of the qualitative methods from the technology. As I mentioned, since it is qualitative, you have to go through them one by one, even if you go for like or love, blah, blah, blah. But from my own point of view and based on my experience, you have to go through all what is written in the interview or the questions that you send to the interviewees in order to know or to go for more analysis. So the question is, I cannot take statistics from qualitative analysis. Thank you so much. This is what I wanted to show, Khadija. I know you can do it, yes, but using technology, yes, some tools, but it doesn't give at it is quantitative analysis.
Thank you
Quantitative
very
is
much.
something, yeah. You are welcome. Yes, I mean,
Another
I am
question.
very lucky to have this, hot discussion
no, you are
and
welcome. You
a
are
rich,
welcome, Miss
rich one
Amira.
as
Yeah.
well.
Welcome.
You are welcome, Miss Amira. You are welcome. Any
Then
questions,
we
gentlemen?
have a question from Dr. Hafsa. She's asking regarding the tasks required. Do we have to plan an AR, which we are going to go through as if we are going to implement it? Okay, that is a question. Dr. Khadija? Dr. Khadija? Hello?
Dr.
Are you
Khadija,
there?
are you here?
What is the question, Walid? Can you repeat it again?
Yes,
I
It
can't.
is in the
she's
chat.
asking about. Yes, she is asking about the homework, the two tasks.
What
Yes,
is?
she is asking. I'm just reading. Do they need to plan, or they have to plan an AR, which in order to implement? So
Now
it
look,
must be a real plan that must be implemented.
it's not a must, as I said from the beginning. It's you who decides to do it, but it's not also that you can just make a plan to make me happy and to get your certificate. Why we have this session? Because we want you to take a step further and start actually benefiting from it by what by applying action research in your own context. So if you are thinking seriously to do an action research, I am quite sure, I'm 100% sure, and maybe Amira, because she used similar forms, could confirm this, that those two forms that we shared with you will really help you plan your action research in a very systematic way from A to Z. It will help you a lot actually with your general plan, with your intervention plan.
Exactly. There is another question, by the way, that was up in the chat regarding the examples that Dr. Khadija has shown. Is it possible, they are asking if it is possible that they can receive it via mail or via any form?
Receive what?
The examples that you were showing,
Yes, yes,
so
it's
they can
totally
follow
fine.
suit.
It's totally fine.
And by the way, Dr. Khadija is the one who will review your work, and that will be through the form that you can find at the end of the document. Okay, so if anybody would like to share any comment, or if you have any question, any inquiry,
Walid, please, it's better to send the link for all the emails that we have.
I will.
I think it's
That's
better
easy.
to send the email for all of them because some of them might not can or it's difficult for them to copy the link now from the chat box. So
yeah, I have all the emails. I know who attended.
So any questions, we are ready for all of you. As I told you, and as we did, we'd like to, at the end, we'd like to thank Dr. Khadija Al-Balushi for her wonderful presentation and workshop. Thank you for Dr. Walid also for his fingerprint in techno and how we use the technology as our trainer. So we hope that we will meet you the following session, CPD3, which will be about publish your paper, publish your research. We will talk about how to publish, where to publish, and the steps. And we can support all of you, by the way, because we are in the process of getting DOI to have our special ELT journals in Oman. And this is the first time, as we are TESOL Oman, we will be the first people who will have this ELT journal, and it will be for applied linguistics also. So inshallah, we'll announce and we'll send you the invitation as soon as we are ready. But forgive me, because some teachers or some presenters or some doctors are busy marking next week, so we'll arrange this. So please, if you have any questions also, you can send. This is our emails. Please, Walid, go to our emails, please.
Yes, just a second.
Sure, our yes.
Okay, because I was.
So these are the emails. If you can take a photo. So Dr. Khadija Al-Balushi and this me, and then TESOL Oman. Whenever you want to ask about any questions, you are welcome. If you wanted to have any support, if you are a master student or a PhD student, we are here to help, to support me, and I talk on behalf of Professor Ali Al-Isa, because he was busy today, and he sent his regards for all of you, and he missed it, by the way, because of some family issues, but he promised to be with us next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everyone. And I reshared the tasks or the document that has the 2 tasks. And once you have uploaded your own work, you will get, inshallah, good feedback, and you receive your certificate of participation. And I'm going to also type our email address exactly. All right.
Thank you, Walid and Anwar. I think we have to leave.
Yes, I'm just typing it.
يلا تصبحون على خير. والله ما صلينا لسه.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was lovely
Have a
meeting
sweet
you.
night.
You're welcome, all of you.
Mr. Walid, the last form you sent is, what is it about? The last form is?
Yes, Amira. Yes, the last form. Which one? Hold on. That is the link. Yes, that is for subscription. So for future events, we will put you in our email list, so you won't miss any future event held by TESOL Oman. That's the thing.
Yeah, I am a member, so I don't have to do it, right?
You don't have to.
Since you're a member,
showing it to everyone.
Great.
So whoever, if you'd like to share it with other people, so
yeah.
Well, we welcome more members to join.
Great, yeah.
I think the email, Walid, I think the email written in the chat, TESOL Oman, it is TESOL Oman, not TESOL Oman.
Yeah,
but it's
because I was writing fast.
No problem. But it is there here in the presentation itself, by the way, in the slide. It is there, yeah. So they can take a photo, or they can send us any email, and I think everything is okay. We can close the session now. Thank you so much, everybody. We will be waiting for your homework to issue you the certificate as soon as we can, and forgive us for any missing or for any misconducting or any mistake we did. But this is our duty. Here we are here to serve you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.